really all about this distinction. And of course, as our Rock End, so no coincidence that the two of you are on this call. I think before I answer that question, let's look at why it matters. And my belief around this is people buy people, not products. They actually buy you. They buy your energy. They buy your attention. They buy your vibe. And as we know, our vibe attracts our tribe. And in a high-tech, high-touch, swipe left, swipe right kind of existence, where consumers are measuring their experience of you or your products or services, not against, let's talk real estate, right? They're not measuring your brand against another brand. As Barris would well know, they're measuring the experience of doing business with you with all other industries, like hotels or great restaurants or day spas or, you know, a car company. So first up, why does a service mindset matter? Because people buy people, not products. They don't buy your features and benefits, they buy you. And you're the service. Now, service mindset, let's also look at what it means. It's an outlook, it's a perspective. And that outlook just means that you're someone, if you have a service mindset, you're someone that stands in the belief, the client experience, the engagement is the most valuable thing to you. You are relational, not transactional. You value loyalty and you value trust. And according to the CoreLogic RP Data's research, vendors and buyers want two things. They want trust and transparency. So there's 5 key ways that you can deliver on that from my perspective. You want me to quickly unpack those inside of what is a service mindset?
Please do, go.
Okay. I just did this
I'm
morning.
loving it.
What is this? This morning, I made them up, right? I made them up. My 5 R's to have a service mindset. Number 1 is you got to have the right reason. What's your reason for being in business? We all want to make money in business. You want to make money. Rock End want to make money. I want to make money. I've got 2 teenage girls to provide for. So, but that's not the reason. My reason is I want to positively change people's lives. So have the right reason. You're on a transaction or you're relational. Having a service mindset, you've got to come from being relational. It's got to all be about losing yourself in service of others, number 1. Number 2, to having a service mindset is resonance. As I said, people buy people, not products. They buy you. How do you get resonance? Rapport. You have to literally connect and resonate with the people that you do business with. And the more you connect, the more you feel a synergistic relationship, the more you can serve them effectively. Number 3, responsibility. When you stand in, it's your responsibility that your clients produce their desired results and their success falls on your watch. They feel an unbelievable partnership with you. And again, it's not just here's my EDM and here's my coaching and here's this book and it's, you know, they feel that you're there with them. Number 4, resourceful. Again, you're not transactional. You're thinking about your clients. You might see something and you send them the book or you send them that article or you flick them the link and then say, hey, you know, Barris, there's this great webinar happening at 10 o'clock. The guys at Rock End and Realm are doing it. You should jump on. Like you're just adding value above and beyond your scheduled time to transact. And then finally is results. If your clients feel that you're like making like Gandhi and Mother Teresa, you're losing yourself in service of them and that their results are on your watch and you see it as equally your responsibility to fulfill, that's when you have this incredible synergistic relationship. And even if you stuff up, even if you make mistakes or don't get the result, they'll forgive you and they'll still want to work with you anyway.
Right on. So all those things, 100% agree with Tash. Thank you so much for sharing that. It was awesome. That was
That's brilliant.
I do want to say though, of all those things, there is a very, a self-rewarding mechanism in there. Being a psychologist previously, if you talk about the individual happiness and health and emotional and spiritual well-being without going too deep, if you're of service and you're doing all of those things, there's 2 things that create really great mental mindsets from being happy. It's learning new things and being of service, that community connection that you create. And being of service not just creates business, client wealth, it creates personal wealth around psychological well-being. And that's a big thing for this industry. I think it's really important to note on.
Yeah. And connection. Like, this is a connection business. So anyway, you know me, I could talk for 2 minutes water in a submarine without oxygen.
Now, Barris, I was down at RockEnd just recently, and I wasn't going to talk about this, but I think it's important to note. I was sitting there giving a presentation about what we're doing in AI. I had your founder, Tony Maple-Brown. I had Alistair Maple-Brown in the room. We're sitting there, we're giving a presentation, and nothing was working. The screen was not working. Tech had gone sideways. The little box that ran it had a little blip. We couldn't figure it out, or at least we were sitting there going, well, should we just do it off my laptop? And within 2 seconds, I had Tony Maple-Brown, who is an elderly gentleman now. He's down on his hands and knees, and there's cables going everywhere, and he's pulling it apart, and he's making it work. He's going, don't worry, Patrick, I'll make this work for you. And Alistair turns to me and he goes, Patrick, do you want to know why we're good at service? Do you want to know why our culture is all about the service mindset? It's this guy here. Because for 25 years, he's been on his hands and knees fixing problems for our people internally and for our staff and for our family. That's what he does at RockEnd for the industry. And I thought that was a fantastic analogy for being of service. And that actually is what triggered this webinar. I wanted to share service mindset from a cultural value mindset point of view. And that comes back to the leadership principles that Tanja just spoke about, defining the cultural values. What you stand for and what you reject is what you accept within your organization.
Yeah.
And certainly I'd love to hear your view from a user experience point of view, because user experience is really important from tech, but it's also really important from being in a service industry like real estate, because the people are what matters, right? The tech is an enabler, but the people are what matters, the relationships. So tell us about user experience, which is your area and bag of tricks, from the perspective of someone like RockEnd.
So, that amazing story about Tony Maple-Brown. I've worked for great companies, great corporations like Coca-Cola, Telstra, and previous to RockEnd at Gumtree for over 15 years now. And culture becomes the real pivotal point in how a company is actually perceived outside of their own little circle. Mm-hmm. And, that story about Tony Maple-Brown just getting there and getting his hands dirty, this is what attracted me to RockEnd. It's a founder-led company. It's an Australian company, and they know exactly what they stand for. People are number one. And at RockEnd, what is brilliant is no one else's job. It's actually, when there's something going wrong, it's actually your responsibility to get stuff done. To say politely there. And, going back to what you guys have been saying around the 5 R's that Tanya just blurted out amazingly, is the reason, the responsibility, the resourcefulness, the results that you're looking for. And, connections and community. We are human beings at the end of the day. The 3 pillars that I work with my team and the wider group here is you start with people, processes, and the systems. So when you start with the people, there's a saying that if your people don't love your company, how do you expect your customers to love you? So once you're actually setting the right culture, that is okay to get down on your knees and get through the hard work, because you do have a reason that you know who you are of service to, and you're there to deliver results. You'll do anything in your hands to actually get it done. And from a user experience perspective, user experience is quite simple. It's got to be useful, usable, and enjoyable. They're the 3 little key points that you need to understand from a technology standpoint. And like you said, it's an enabler. Technology is just an enabler. It's an enabler to connect with the people that are actually hiring you to do a job for them. At the end of the day, that's what we do. It's a transaction, that functional transaction that needs to happen. However, in the age of the customer, we have moved away from that, and we're going deeper into experiences. This is the age of the experience. And you are being compared to Googles of the world, the Facebooks of the world, Amazons of the world. And to get to the right point and to have the right mindset, you need the right people who are actually going to be able to transform the message that you live internally to your customers at the end of the day. And, being I have a social science background as well, social psychology. one of the things that I like to quote is BJ Fogg model, where if you want the right behaviors, there's a formula for that. It's called behavior equals motivation, ability, and the right triggers. So if you want the right behavior within your organization, you need to actually look at the human behind it and that human's motivation, and then assess their ability, enable them to do the right things and the right triggers at the right point, giving them opportunities to practice what you preach.
It's interesting you talk about those things because they've become very much principles within your organization. I was walking around your offices and I saw, breakout areas with, get you off technology type stuff with games. I saw quiet rooms where you can go in and read from the library for half an hour a day just to clear your head. I saw customer experience labs where you can go in and work with customers. There was things up all over the wall where they're drawing to the customer at the center and there's things around it. It was quite amazing. And I sat there going, well, this is an organization that really practices that as a principle, but you can see it comes from a leadership perspective. Tanja, you've done a lot of leadership work. You've worked with some great leaders in the industry. You've mentored a lot of leaders to build greater organizations from, award winners like Di Jones. Lots and lots of, it's amazing what you've worked with. So tell us, leadership as a principle around a service mindset, what does a leader need to be? What do our listeners today need to think about so that they can lead those outcomes more than just a lofty principle of culture? It's more of a way in which we behave that creates that.
Yeah, amen. I think, Barris said it before. Great leaders, this is Richard Branson's philosophy, and he does pretty all right for himself, right? So, like, if it ain't broken, let's not try to reinvent or fix. His philosophy is, if you treat your people like gold, right, then they'll treat the clients like gold. So my philosophy is leaders have to treat their team like the client first, because they absolutely are. They're going to be out there being the brand ambassador for your brand. And it sounds like Rockend's environment is really conscious of, if we can create and cultivate an environment where our people feel valued, important, loved, nurtured, taken care of, and it's obvious, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, connectedly, fun, all of that sort of stuff, and great standards and clarity and vision and values, then we're probably more likely to have happy people doing good work. And it's really not hard. So there are different types of leadership, and because we don't have time to break down all the different types of leadership, but the best leaders know that you don't believe the message unless you believe the messenger. So you can have a leader get up there and preach and teach, but if there's a lack of congruency or integrity, your people aren't going to buy into what you say. So it really comes down to the leader comes from a place of, I am a servant. I'm not an authoritarian. I am here to enable my people to fulfill whatever is of value or important to them in their business by virtue of working here. Whether that's I'm employed as a receptionist or I'm the top estate agent, right, or BP, whatever it is. Lose yourself in service of your people, make your people feel like they're the client, because they are, and then give them the 3 steps to success to effectively service your valued consumers. And the 3 steps for success are standards. Great leaders have clear standards. They have fewer messages but repeat them often. They know their vision, their values. They know what their game plan is, and they don't have a bunch of shoulds. They have very clear musts. Number 2, simple strategies. Use technology as a powerful enabler to free up time, making people more effective and more efficient so they can go and be great humans to other humans. It's technology that's there to empower people to do what they do best, which is that connection piece. And then thirdly, state. Look at your environment, and does it elevate or erode your people's physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual state? So you have to have a philosophy that you by your class, and you have to have those 3 steps for success in place to create an architecture for people to thrive.
Amazing answer. Thank you so much.
She's got off the cracker of a start Monday morning. That brilliant.
I feel like I constantly feel like I'm playing catch up with Tanja. I think I'm ready for the answer, and then she hits me and it hits you in the face, and you go, hang on, let me just process that for a second. Fantastic for a Monday morning.
I
There
have
must be,
done Mindset Mastery Monday, right? So I'm primed.
yeah. There's something. You've got your cape on. There's something down in Mornington Peninsula that just gets you up and going super fast.
The herbal tea, it's very special.
There's something in the herbal tea.
It's brilliant what it's brilliant what Taj was saying about standards and simple strategies and states, the environments. It's amazing how our head of people, we have a experienced team who actually, when you're onboarded into the company, I'm only new to the company. It's been around 6 months, but what struck me was the onboarding process that happened. And in the introduction phase was they used Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Great.
So it's like, all right, how can we meet your physical needs and your emotional needs? And how can we get you through all these stages to get to a mindset that you are comfortable, you know what tools you have, you know the abilities that you can actually convert to perform at a efficient and effective way. So,
Maslow's fantastic. You can apply Maslow to almost every circumstance. We love it. It's great. I do have a question for you, though, while you're on it. There's a lot of confusion out there as to what should be expected from a service offering. And I guess this comes back to RockN. There's a lot of confusion as to what should be chosen. There's a lot of activity and movement within property management right now. What should the industry expect as a service offering, or at least as a service mindset, which is really what we're talking about, from a provider like RockN? Just really quickly. It's an interesting question.
Again, at the end of the day, service is what you make it. And, we're a platform to actually enable property managers and strata managers to do what they do. They hire us for a job that they actually need to execute against. And as a platform, you could easily say, this is the box that we want to live in. This is what we are actually going to offer you. And that's our offering. However, what I've seen over the years, and that's what RockN is famous for, is actually going above and beyond. And it's actually a customer expectation. At RockN, what I've seen, we don't have customers. Actually, we have partners. We formed this partnership that's going beyond the boundaries of what a normal service is. And we've gone into the realm of uncommon service. An uncommon service where we do go above and beyond. We try to understand exactly what you're going through. In customer experience and user experience, there are empathy maps. There's persona maps. And I love the idea of the empathy map where you start understanding who, your people that you're partnering with, who are using your services, how they think, how they feel, what they see, what they do. If you extend to that, and that's what RockN is doing, extending to that realm of going above and beyond. Yes, it's not scalable. However, it's the non-scalable things that actually matter at the end of the day. And that's where processes and systems come into play. People go above and beyond. And then as an organization, from an operational standpoint, how do you automate most of the processes using the right systems so it can be scalable, that uncommon service that you're going for?
Yeah, it's interesting because, certainly with the development in realm of an artificial intelligence that, talks to customers, it seems like a bit of a contradiction that, are we about people or are we about technology? We're about replacing people? What does that look like? And I think, the reality is that the industry is moving more towards customer relationship management, being part of the customer journey, having really deep, relationships with customers as property managers, as sales agents, as people who are really embedding themselves in the thought process around real estate. And so when we look at our service offering, it's very much around taking care of the transactional, the things that can be automated, so that you take away the stress and that butting of heads between tenant and property manager, which creates the stress, and enabling them to have more time to invest in the human connection, in how are you today? Can I help with that? I understand you've had some issues with your rent. Or going back to the other side, the landlord, how can we help you build a bigger portfolio? How can we help you with your finance? How can we make your dreams come true? And there's those conversations that if you're under stress all the time, if you're doing just transactional stuff, which is the tradition of the industry, then you're not focused on the human connection. You're not focused on helping human beings achieve their goals and everything they want to achieve. So, that contradiction actually has been played out in the real benefit in the real world, which is interesting. But I won't spend too much time on that. Any closing thoughts, Tanja, around service mindset and really what we feel the industry is moving towards and what they're going to be doing in the future?
I don't know if you asked me a question then, because you
were breaking up.
Robot.
When technology lets you down.
We love it. Did you get the question, Barris? Maybe you can answer it.
No, I didn't catch the question either. Patrick, if you don't mind repeating yourself one more time, please.
Yeah, sure. I think the question really was from the both of you, and Tanja, first of all, do you feel like that, we're moving towards more of a customer service mindset in this industry and moving away from traditional models like transactional work with customers?
Yeah. I think we are, and I think like things are moving so fast, and I'm not look. I think that gone are the days where we are in business 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. We're in business 24/7, 7 days a week. And research shows that vendors and buyers are literally sitting on the couch at home on a Thursday night at 11 o'clock looking at properties. And they actually want to have a very simple automated way of viewing the property or interacting with the agent. So I think we're in a time, and have been for some time, and maybe as I get older, the world just spins faster around the sun, or the sun around the world, whichever way it goes, right? The sun around the world. We have to have the technology for those that, as Matt Church would say, instant coffee just isn't instant enough. We think something and we want a result. I mean, we can see our friends Lisa and Mark Novak at Novak Property Group are doing 3-minute appraisal campaigns now via SMS and having great lead generation from, engaging ways like that. So I believe technology is there to make the consumer experience available to answer their questions whenever they have the question, not between 9 and 5. And great leaders invest in great products like Rock End's products, like Realms products and services, to make sure that their team, which is the biggest labor cost in the business, is efficient and effective. Because I know, because I travel around the country, across New Zealand, we are not getting, as a business, we're not getting maximum return on investment because we don't have those 3 steps in place, and we don't have great efficiency, and then the client experience suffers. So yes, we want the client experience to improve because we want retention, we want referral, we want great goodwill and great loyalty. And it's not, is it technology or is it a human with a heartbeat? It's the effective marriage of both to build efficiency and effectiveness, to, as you said, Patrick, free people up to deepen relationships, to hack into the psychology of the consumer even more, to look at ways to add value, to then have the time to build in ancillary offers, because if residential real estate sales have dropped 25, 35%, we need to create other ways to generate revenue. So then become a full office service, where we're doing pre-approved home loans and DIY and cleaning, removing and utility and all that stuff. So it goes hand in hand. And as long as we don't lose sight of the value of, I'm the first person that will get frustrated going on a website that's just bot central and technology that makes it even more complicated. My experience of the brand drops drastically. So if it's there to make it easy for me, awesome. And I'll probably will choose a phone call with a human being, first time, just because that's my preference. So they go hand in hand, and it's definitely it's an industry that needs to become way more human centric. I think we've relied on technology too much. I'm looking at selling an investment property right now. I didn't even have a conversation with an agent. I asked him to do an appraisal via a property manager. He did the appraisal, and all the communication I got was via text and email. And I did a live post on it. Didn't say who he is, brand from, but I'm like, pick up the phone and speak to me. Ask me, hey, introduce yourself. Ask me why I'm selling. What's important to me?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
As Gary Vee says, don't get fancy before you're fancy. Keep it real.
And don't hide behind the tech. Use it as a means to have deeper connections. Free yourself up, because you can do that, right? Like you can lose yourself in it, and then you lose the whole point.
You lose the whole point. Yeah, so they are a marriage, and they're both there to service the client experience.
Yeah. Fantastic. Barris, any final thoughts from you?
It's exactly that. Use technology as an enabler to supercharge your service. We are service centric. We are relationship based. We're human beings. We want connections. We want relationships. And then, talking about Tanja's preference over phone, yes, there are people that we need to actually understand their customer segments. There might be others that actually want chat. There might be others that want to go to a knowledge base and read an article, but we need to understand our customers. That's where customer experience comes in. The stages that you need to go through, understanding the discovery phase, the ideation around how you're going to meet those needs. Then you validate, then you implement. So Tanjas of the world can get a phone call, or Dan Patrick of the world can get a chat. So it's just about understanding that and what you need to deliver, and getting that crossroad where actually the experience is supercharged.
You bet. Responding to the 5 generations of, tenants and buyers and sellers. They all want to talk differently, but at the end of the day, let's keep the communication open. Let's keep the human connection open as much as possible. I agree with all those thoughts. Guys, thanks very much for today. I think we've reached the end of our time. For all those listening out there, thanks for listening in. Have a fantastic Monday, and think about your service mindset. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.